Ta-da-da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never popped into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. You get to watch me. You get to wait. You get to watch me make movement, and sometimes it can be a struggle. Sometimes it can be dazzle and amaze. Sometimes it can be the most incredible, enlightening, 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 just frustrating too, right? But I accomplished in that idea of never giving up. And you want to sometimes, but you always think, oh, is there something I can do? Right? I have this idea that, in my movement, I tend to just let things go if it's spilt milk. If the only thing is going to get my stress, my frustration, my grief, my heartbreak, if it's not going to serve me in any way, right, I let it go. But at the same token, I'm saying that if there is a possibility, right, I have to hold myself accountable to that possibility because I've seen it happen so many times, right? That when you just think and are ready just to give up, and you hit that one button, and then just like whole new world opens up, a whole new realization, and it happens in a second. I have lived my whole my whole life this way, but in the past few days, or past few years, definitely, I have been expanding in that. I have been experimenting in that, and I have been paying attention to that and asking myself questions along the way, right? And through a process sometimes of elimination, sometimes it's in that testing it out and pushing it to see just how far you can go, or just believing in some of those lessons, like believing, right? That it can be done, that you just hold on, right? You don't know what you're holding on. You don't know what to give next, but you're just gonna hold on, right? I've had those moments. And some of those moments have been the most instrumental in the movement forward, because in those moments, that's where the give up is. And if you can get past those moments of giving up, get through those moments of what's the point, right? Get through those moments when you don't believe in yourself, right? If you could just come up with just a little bit of accountability. Sometimes, right? Sometimes we have to trust when somebody else says everything is going to be okay, right? When somebody else says it's not too hard, so and so has done it, right? Or here's the put together sheets and hand it off to you, and you look at it like it's just a foreign language, and you're just stuck there. But you're just going to be stuck there unless you get into it. And I got into it. You guys know, you're probably sick of hearing it already, but I got a video up this afternoon, you guys. I got a video up this afternoon. Oh my goodness. And how amazing that feels. And at the same time, how silly, because the idea of what was wrong was one of my first things that popped into my head, right? But because other things seemed a little bit easier, or in my own mind when I said it had to be permissions, right? But it wasn't. It was all in the codex, and right, just because it worked one way, right? You switch programs and stuff, and right, you have to go in and you have to find another way. And I got pushed. I got pushed so bad. I just wanted to say, that's it, right? Whoever or whatever just wants me to go live, doesn't want me to share my adventures, doesn't want to share that right? I'm thinking this, like, why am I not getting this? I know it's something simple, right? And I just discovered it just before I got right. I was determined, let's see if we can get a video up before I leave for work. And you guys, I got 5 minutes here. But I think, when we're talking about compassion this week, it is a little bit in that comparison because I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I figured it out. I didn't quite. It's still a learning process, but it's a lot better. I'm getting videos up now at the very least, right? I'm able to bring in the videos into my editor, my second editor. I went back to Premiere Pro. Right? I spent the money I was putting away for the glasses. Yeah, I went right. My choices, and I can't beat myself up for that investment because that investment has put a smile on my face, alleviated some of that stress, and has brought me back to the main branch of the tree, right? So I feel exhausted. I feel like I just did a marathon in that challenge, and it was a simple, right? And it was one of the first things that came to my mind when I was looking, right? I even pushed the buttons and everything right away, and at the last minute it was and I went, oh no, okay, cancel. We don't want to make that change. And yet I made a gazillion other changes and files and rebooted my computer how many times. But it's in that experimentation, and I'm not beating myself up that it was something as simple. I think it's something simple. The codex. At least I know what the problem is now. The codex, right? Simple. And if that's truly what it is, I stumbled on to the miracle and I just worked with it as it was. Everything was open and I got the job done. But I know I have those programs even on the laptop. So when I get home tonight, that's the challenge for me, possibly, right? In that excitement of accomplishing that, maybe I can go a little bit further with it, right? And really get into the next meat of it because I just put a couple of short clips together just to see if it would work. And it did. Grateful, right? Grateful that I got a video up. And so let's get back to this word compassion and this idea that we've been talking about compassion for ourselves, right? We live in a digital world where, it's splashed all over social media. In everything we do, we can always beat ourselves up because somebody is going to be more of an expert in that little bit that you bring to the table as you are, right? Or even more. And, we're looking at these people have fancy cars and big apartments and yachts and good jobs, a roof over their head, clean water, right? Look at these privileges that other people have, whether it's in a different country or a different community, right? Even in our own upbringings. Me as a child, I grew up knowing that my family was dynamic, right? Because I could tell my friends' parents treated their kids and their households were run differently. Like you have no choice but to face that reality, right? But in that, I was comparing to what I didn't have and didn't really take into consideration all those amazing things that I had or my dynamic family had, in my gumption of never giving up, in believing in somebody else's message, right? I clung to all of them. Right? Talking to myself and right, come on, Google, right? Help. That was the last one I did before I found a solution. Right? I'm not saying we're going to give the credit to Google there because I am an amalgamation of influence, good influence, right? And I practiced a lot of that during this course too, in that frustration. And it wasn't that the frustration wasn't there, the frustration was there, right? But I did everything I possibly could to alleviate it. I went for walks, made sure that I had other projects that were getting ahead, even though this project wasn't, right? Having that compassion for myself, not beating myself up, saying, Cindy, you're a dum dum, right? Codex, right? I could have done that. I am proud that I've done that, but it also made me think, right, of this idea that in this digital age that we are looking out at the world of what everybody else has, right? And we're becoming, and this is Wayne Dyer quote, right? There is no justifiable reason for resentment, and there's a lot of resentment for what we don't have. There's a lot of resentment for what we're not capable of. There's a lot of resentment for where we're at in the moment when we can see people that we might even believe that are lesser than us achieve those things that just seem impossible for us. But it's in that mindset, it's in our choices, and it's in taking the lessons and being willing to take lessons from people who are more expert than you in these things. I am not technically inclined, right? I was doing lots of Googling in the past couple of weeks. I did. But then again, sometimes, if you just give a little bit, so much more comes back. And so I just tried to make sure, because I know I'm being tracked pretty good, right? That if I was searching and I was looking and I wasn't giving up and I pushed this button, that, right, Google wouldn't be too far behind me, right? And I have to say maybe Microsoft a little bit too, right? But I don't know. All I know is I'm not a big fan of the cloud, right? I'm not a big fan of the cloud, but right, that's maybe just in my ignorance, and I have to appreciate that, right? And I have to appreciate the people who are much better in working on these platforms and working in the cloud, right? Right? It's a tough job, and I can imagine how frustrating it can be when you're discovering and learning new things. I was truly a spectator. I certainly was a student, and I was certainly a struggler, and I was certainly a champion, right? In getting what I need to done. It's not perfect, but it's done, right? And it's in that process of learning and failing and struggling that we just get better and better and better. And we have to have that in ourselves, because in that idea of looking out at the world and seeing others have what we don't have, well, it's in your choices, dear. It truly is. It was in my choices. I could have given up, right? And just showing up. You wouldn't have got to see me picking up garbage. Go watch my video. I posted it this afternoon. Go to my main channel. It should be up and running right now. Everybody have a great day. I've got to run off to work, to the job that puts the roof over my head. I've got some more shining to do, right? And we're at mile 25. That's pretty good for somebody. Oh, no. I'm a good walker, you guys. I'm a good walker. Okay, you guys. That's my good cheer. We'll see each other tomorrow. Bye-bye.